Mock Draft 3.0 is here. Let's get right into it. Now, this is going to be a little bit different from Mock 2.0 because 2.0, I had a big dream trade scenario involving Devo Samuel, Max Crosby. No trades in this one. We're just going straight up all the way down. So let's get into it. I'm sure you can see who is on the header. Maybe you don't know who that is. Maybe you know who it is now. That is Armand Membou, Mizzou offensive tackle who has taken the draft circuit by storm. He is absolutely skyrocketing up, and rightfully so. He has been absolutely phenomenal, and he has definitely earned himself into this spot. Now, the question that I think with Armand being the pick at number 11 is for the simple fact is he going to be available? Will he be there is the question. I think with Chicago doing what they have done and with their trades with the offensive line, I think they will be out, and they were one of the top O-line needy teams in the top 10. And on top of that, it still sounds like Will Campbell is the consensus number, a top lock, the top offensive lineman right now in this class. So it does look like Membou is slated to be the second offensive lineman off the board. And it's going to be a little tight right there at 11. But if at least two quarterbacks go in the top, if one of these guys rise up, like a Shamar Stewart or someone. We saw Barron rise up into the top 10. This is how you keep Armand available. So, but let's talk about him as a prospect. I started doing the deep dive on him. I've done a high-level overview trades pool, and I liked what I saw. But when I got into the deep dive, like you can see right here, watch his feet shift. And then he tosses Mykel Williams. Mykel Williams has been mocked to the San Francisco 49ers at 11. His speed that he showed at the combine is real. It is absolutely real, and it translates to his tape. He is so freaking fast. It really pops out. My favorite traits of his are his feet, his base, his hips. He's always hand fighting. I would say maybe an area he can improve is pad level. But other than that, he's a pretty solid prospect. He's more than solid. He's fantastic. All the hype around him, not only from how he tested, it matches and it shows on tape. This guy is going to be really good. And if he's there at number 11, I think the 49ers have to take him. All right, let's go on to our next pick. Pick 43. Now, this is a retread pick of Mock 2.0, and I don't typically like to double up picks. I like to keep my mock drafts fresh because, as I've explained, mock drafts are more about just identifying prospects that maybe we haven't seen and slotting them into rounds based on value. When we get to the end of the draft process is when I really start to fine-tune my mock drafts, but this is a guy that I think I'm interested in at 43 and will be interested at 43 at the very end when it's all said and done, because he, to me, is a 3-down defensive tackle, a guy who can be impactful against the run, and he can rush the passer. You can see at his size, he is very large, and he is got pass rushing moves, and he can shed blocks. He is absolutely a guy that I would love to have on the San Francisco 49ers, replacing Javon Hargrave. So that's who I have the 49ers taking in the second round. This guy I have right here, Ole Miss wide receiver Trey Harris. First thing that comes to mind is he's a dog. He might not be an elite separator. He's going to get knocked for that. He is a bigger-bodied wide receiver, 6'2", 205 pounds. But he has phenomenal ball skills when it comes to high pointing and contested catch throws, back shoulder throws. He's great. And he also has a strong yard after the catch ability. He's a yak guy, and he's got a mean stiff arm, and he it takes a lot to bring him down. So he might not be like I would say a route running skill set comparable to, let's say, Ricky Pearsall or something like that, but he's probably more closer to Jawan Jennings. But just similarly to how Jawan Jennings wins and gets open, I think that Trey Harris can do as well. I think he has some special skills and could definitely be a starter at the next level. I also have the San Francisco 49ers taking LSU tight end Mason Taylor at pick 99. I don't know if he will make it to 99 because he is such a fluid athlete. That to me is what stands out the most out of Mason Taylor is he's a phenomenal receiving back. While being a phenomenal receiving back, he can improve as a blocker. And I know 49er fans are going to want to know, can he block? I think he can, but I think he needs to continue to develop that aspect of his game at the next level. And I think from what I understand and have seen with my own eyes of how George Kittle really passes on the influence of blocking to the tight ends behind him, I do think he could learn very quickly under George Kittle to become a blocker. Another guy that I really, really like and I'm really, really high on in this process is defensive end David Walker. Now, David Walker comes in at about 6'1". He is not super big. I actually had the chance to interview him at the Senior Bowl. I'm taller than he is. He doesn't strike you as like a dominant edge force when you're looking at him, but that's all he did at the Senior Bowl was just win. And over the last, 3 years of his time at Central Arkansas, he racked up 30 sacks. And one of the reasons he was able to do that is because he's extremely explosive. That first step get off is really, really nice. And he has a relentless motor and he's got the moves to back it up. He's stronger than you might anticipate and he brings it all together. And, when you have the strength and speed at his size, they say low man wins. And some people look at smaller defensive linemen as, being at a disadvantage, but not when you're strong enough to be able to take on these offensive linemen. And that's what he can do. So, and you can see in this video, that's 49ers coach KJ Wright chasing him down. KJ Wright coached him at the Senior Bowl. I think he could be an option for sure. Another guy that KJ Wright coached was Femi Oladejo, the UCLA defensive end. He's actually been a off-ball linebacker until last year. They kicked him down to the edge, and he is raw from that regard. But boy, oh boy, let me tell you, this guy is going to be a potential stud at the next level. Like, he has really good speed, really good moves, considering how raw he is at the position. And he's got great energy. One of my favorite things about him is it seems like everyone loves this guy. You like being able to be up close and around this guy. And even on the sideline during the Senior Bowl, I stood right behind him and watched him engage with his teammates, throughout, when he came off the field, and he just looks like a guy that everyone likes to play with. Guys coming up, talking to him. He seems like a really solid person and a great player. So I go back-to-back edges here because I think both of these guys absolutely could contribute early on for the 49ers. And I go with one of my draft crushes, Jackson Slater out of Sac State. He was great. He was top 5 in athleticism scores from the NFL Combine, according to Next Gen Stats. I project him to be a center at the next level. I think he'll be slept on. PFF gave me a F for this grade because they have him as like a 6th round prospect. And I don't think he goes anywhere beyond the 5th. So I took him in the 4th because I really do think this is kind of where his range will be, and maybe even a little higher. My comp for him was Mason McCormick, who was drafted by the Steelers last year. I think that he would push to be a starter year one. Maybe he wouldn't crack it his rookie year, but he could definitely be a candidate for center of the future. I would say he would compete or be in competition with Ben Barch, Nick Sakel, and maybe whoever they bring in at center to compete. This is a guy that I really like as well. I almost took him in mock draft 1.0, but I ended up going in a different direction. But I mean, Kobe King out of Penn State is a pretty slept on linebacker right now. He is phenomenal against the run. You just saw him toss offensive lineman right there. He just sheds blocks. He's top 10 according to PFF in run defense, and he's phenomenal. Like he really is. Like he just shoots the gaps. He gets off blocks and he makes tackles. That's what you're expecting from this guy. That's definitely his strong suit. Coverage, a little bit TBD, but if you need a guy in the run game, this is him. And he could absolutely be someone who could develop, I think, at the next level in the passing game as well. But he is just such a – and you can see how quickly he triggers and he keys on these plays. I think he's going to be solid for sure. Another guy that I think is going to be really, really good is I don't know how to say his first name, like Bashal Tutin, I think is his name. But I do think Tutin has the opportunity to be a really good running back prospect, very fast. I think he ran a 4.32, but or at the NFL Combine. He is good with patience, good with his vision, and he has a knack for being able to find running lanes. And then he's got the speed to be able to kind of – he has like that ability to drop down a gear and then burst very fast, kind of what we've come to know for good zone running backs. Another guy that I also took after that was a special teams guy. Keaton Crawford, what put me on to him, he's safety out of Nevada. He actually tested extremely well at the NFL Combine. If he is compared against cornerbacks, he ranked 27th out of 2,500 cornerbacks since 1987 with his RAS score. My plan for him would be to replace Odom as a key special teamer and safety depth. That's kind of what I would think of him. He was I think he was an all Big Ten honorable mention as a special teams player at Texas. So he's known for being a special teams ace. And that's exactly what I'm bringing him in for. Ty Robinson is interesting because I used the simulator. I kind of went against the grain against the simulator. But again, the reason why I like the simulator because it simulates a board and guys being taken, and then you have to decide based on who's remaining. So Ty Robinson was there. I probably don't see him getting into the sixth round, if we're being honest. He seems like a fifth round guy to me. But he's 6'5", 290 pounds. He ran a 4.83, which is crazy. He's kind of a throwback defensive tackle. He just moves bodies. He might not be super twitchy, but he's powerful. And I think the 49ers need to stack defensive line depth in this class. And this guy, I need to do more homework on, but I like what I've seen so far. Washington State offensive tackle Issa Pole, you can see in these clips, he has solid feet. Like he has good movement skills. And I talk about it all the time. The number one thing that I'm looking for in tackles that I think can play at the next level is base, feet, and hips and how those come together. Obviously, you have to have good pad level, you have to have good hands, you have to have the cerebral ability to be able to pick things up, good technique. But when you look at his feet, you look at his base, you look at how well he moves, he looks like a tackle. He looks like a tackle. He looks like a guy who doesn't have to kick inside and could develop potentially into a starter. I mean, those look like NFL feet, if you ask me. So this is a guy that I want to do more homework on. And if my gut is correct, he won't be a seventh round draft pick. So I gotta do more homework on this guy, but he was there in the seventh, so I took him, and that's how it worked. Again, I used PFF Mock Draft Simulator. I don't necessarily think PFF is the end all be all when it comes to player rankings. I actually tend to disagree with their rankings quite a bit, but it is still a good baseline in kind of gauging value and again, simulating just being able to pick from who's available, opposed to just cherry picking who I want at each spot. I like the idea of, oh, I can't take that guy because he just got selected 2 picks ahead of me. So as you can see, they really didn't like me taking Jackson Slater in the 4th round, but I think that's appropriate value for him. Some will say Tootin isn't a 6th rounder. He was there. I took him. You want to yell at someone? Yell at PFF's Mock Draft Simulator and their rankings. But that is my Mock Draft 3.0. Again, no trades. And I'm curious to know what you guys think about this one. So let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.